Hey everybody, happy Sunday. I hope that wherever you are and whatever you are doing, you are safe, you are well, and you are with people you care about who also care for you. I'm recording this on a Wednesday, so this is going to be a midweek for me Sunday musing, and I already have way too many topics in my head. I have, however, picked one particular one that comes from last week's news cycle. But first, can I say, wowee, what a week we're having, and it's only a Wednesday at the point of filming this. Earlier today, I filmed an interview with Ben Prohaska from the Electrification Coalition, talking about a new bill that's making its way through the House in the US right now, and it proposes some really horrible things for fans of EVs. So if you haven't watched that video, it should already now be live on the main channel. Go watch it. I have learned that promoting my videos on the main channel over here actually helps because YouTube does appear to be shadow banning the channel and stuff on the channel. Many people this week reaching out and saying, oh, we thought you'd stop making content. The usual stuff. Nope, we make content every week. We publish it every week. And I know at least someone watches it because you all comment on Discord. So if you do watch all of our videos, thank you very much. Last week on 10, I talked about a story involving the Lake Tahoe area of California, where about 75,000 people live. And I know some of you commented on the news story in 10 saying that there was more to that story than had been discussed in the show. And I just want to acknowledge those of you who said that. Thank you very much. There have been some fairly serious allegations made against the local utility company for not working hard enough to ensure that the energy it's buying from NV Energy is actually, you know, enough and all of that. So maybe that's worth us revisiting at some point in the future. Let me know in the down below if that's something that you'd like me to do. But it has kind of provided a bit of a jumping off point for me to think about energy, specifically in your home. And that is, in the age of AI, and apologies, there's a plane launching, I think, a glider from the local glider port. I want to know if you have worried recently, or if you worry more about the fact that electricity grid stability seems to be a growing concern among many people. And it's a growing concern because certainly here in the US, we've had a reduction in investment in the electrical grid, not just since President Trump retook office, but it's been a problem for literally decades, combined with a dramatic increase in demand fueled by AI and data centers. And combined, those two things means that we're paying more per kilowatt hour of electricity, but we're also seeing our electrical grid pushed to its absolute physical limits as utility companies try and shove as much power down old failing lines as they possibly can. And that has led me to the question today, which is, do you worry about grid stability in your area? Have you taken steps to ensure that your home, that your family, that your community still have access to power? And have you experienced more grid brownouts and power cuts in the last few years than perhaps you might have done further in the past? Now, where I live, I have, touch wood, been reasonably lucky. I know that there is a new data center less than 10 miles from where I live. It is vast, not one of the largest, certainly, but it is large enough to be noticeable as you drive past. And I haven't noticed any impact on my local grid. That said, my local substation went through some sizable upgrades before that facility went online. And up here, where I live, most of the power glitches that we experience are because of trees on the power lines. I don't know if you can see the power line behind me. All of our power lines are above ground. We have some really large old growth forest. When one of those trees falls, it takes out a power line. And the local utility has been working really hard to try and mitigate the risks associated with trees bringing power lines down. But there's only so much mitigation that can take place. Now, I think that the power issues that we have experienced in the last 12 months, for example, have mainly been down to what I would call environmental concerns, i.e. bad weather, whether that's snow or whether that's, heavy winds or whether that's a tree falling down, as opposed to another 100,000 processors coming online, gobbling all the juice for the latest despicable thing that AI happens to be used for. And because of that, I consider myself quite lucky. I also have, as you may know, I have 15 kilowatts of solar panels on my roof, 15 kilowatts peak. I also have the forward home integration system, which again, yes, I'm going to acknowledge it has been unreliable. And when I say unreliable, the Delta inverter has been rock solid. The Ford Charge Station Pro has been the weakest link and has regularly broken. But all of that said, when I have needed to back up power to my home, I've either been able to use the Ford Charge Station Pro, or I have been able to make use of basically the Pro power system in the bed of my truck and pull power out. Now, for the last 3-4 weeks now, I haven't had my truck because it's been in the shop being repaired. I don't know why it's taking so long. That's the matter for another video. But I personally feel pretty resilient in my energy demands. And yes, while my electricity bill is vast because we have servers here at the house that we use for all of our video production. If there is a power cut, if there is some kind of interruption, I can very easily cut power to those servers and save a sizable amount of money and a sizable amount of energy. And as long as I've turned off those servers, the truck can power my home for more than a day. So I don't worry about it. But I would love to know in the down below if it's something that affects you. Do you live near a large AI facility or a data center? Have you noticed your grid becoming less reliable as a consequence of the increased demand on it from all of these data centers and AI processing facilities? Or are you lucky like me and you've felt a minimal impact? And do you worry about that impact of AI and data farms and all of that in the future? Maybe you live somewhere, again, fairly close to me. There is a big local campaign in one of my nearby towns to try and ban all data centers. And there are people on either side. It's been a hotly contested topic in the local election cycle, and I'm sure it will continue to be through to the US midterms this November. So I would love to know where you sit on that broad spectrum of experiences. Maybe you've got experiences of data centers gobbling up your electrons and causing brownouts. Maybe, like me, you've got a little bit more resilience in your local grid. Let me know in the down below. And as always, thank you for watching. The sun has just come out, which is nice. It's going to cause problems for Vi coloring this, but nevertheless, you probably just saw a little tweak on the screen at that point as the lighting changed. But hey, the sun is out. That means I'm generating much more power than I was previously, so I'm happy. If you want to join the amazing list of supporters scrolling by on either side of me right now, it is super easy to do so. You can point your favorite device, smartphone, computer, tablet, whatever, to patreon.com/Transport Evolved, or you can go to our main YouTube channel and sign up there from as little as $1.50 a month, and that really does make a massive impact. I don't talk about it much, but this time of year, kind of April, May, June, July, are the very financially difficult times for us because it's the time of the year when we're not getting in as much money from donations as we do later on in the year. And money's a bit tight right now. I'm not gonna lie. I've been going into the company savings, which is never a good feeling. We've got a big bill coming in a couple of weeks, or we have created an invoice that will be due to be paid in about a month's time. So fingers crossed when that comes through, things will be a lot calmer and a lot nicer. But until then, so if you'd like to help out, please go to one of those sites I mentioned, or you can buy some swag from our swag store, like this t-shirt. I know it's an old one, but it's a really good one. People like it. Or you can send us Ko-fi, or you can in fact send us an old-fashioned check. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being the positive change that we need to see in the world. Thank you for dealing with the sun beating down on my forehead. And until next time, keep evolving.